Hi, I'm Eddie. Welcome to Eddie the channel. So I'm just out on this nice little lake. You notice on the other side there, and there's some up further is some rushes and that, which brings me to my topic. I'm going to talk about is snakes in Australia. Well, more like snakes in Victoria. So which is Melbourne. Around Melbourne is the main big mega city. So we're out from Melbourne, but I've seen a few snakes, and I've been here for quite a while, so like 15 years or 20 years or something, can't remember, long time. But I have hardly seen bugger all snakes. I'll tell you all the horrendous snake stories, but then I'll tell you how often you actually come across them and the number of people affected by them is quite a few. So yeah, I'll start off with mine. My ego comes in here, and yeah, I was a gardener, and I was cleaning up around this pool area. It was down further on the peninsula, right at the end there, and it's nice to have a few snakes there. So, but anyway, I'm cleaning out. There's all this. It must have been autumn time or in the winter, and there's some deck chairs there, and I'm moving all these, lots of leaves under there. I was getting a rake and raking them out. Then I was going back and dumping my bin. Sorry for the accent. And yeah, and then I was coming back, and then yeah, I saw this little, I don't know what it was. It was a snake of some sort, quite thin. It was only like so thin. It was even probably thinner, but it was quite long. And yeah, my workmate said, "Oh, look at that!" And it'd come out from underneath those deck chairs, gone halfway around the pole, and snuck into the neighbours through a little hole, very tiny hole in the bricks to the neighbours next door yard. So that was what my friendly encounter with one, and then and also in another client I was looking at is a slightly different area. It was on the back beach, a place called Flinders. I was inspecting an irrigation pit. They've got a plastic lid on them. Lifting the lid, and well, there's a snake right there, and I'm looking at it. It's like, it's half a metre from my face, and it's like, bloody hell, that's close. But it didn't get up or do anything. It was just warming itself on the solenoids, because I turned the irrigation on, and where the solenoids were under this box were getting warm, and the snake was there. So I thought, right, I'll put that top right back on. And then I told the client, and the client, oh no, I didn't actually. I think I went back, turned off the irrigation system, and then I thought, I'll come back and I'll have a look, and another look, but I'll take a shovel with me this time to open the lid up. So I did that, and there was no snake. Like, where has that snake gone? So it must have gone down where the lines were. There must have been a cavity down there. I couldn't see it. But anyway, I turn on the irrigation, tell the client brings out snake catcher. Snake catcher brings out this really, metre long snake sort of thing. Quite thin, really thin actually. Only like that. I forget what sort it was, but it's one that tolerates the coldness actually. So this was, yeah, it wasn't in the middle of summer or anything. That's why it was on those valves. But yeah, so that was another snake encounter, and I've seen a couple of black snakes actually, the red-bellied black snakes mating in a rubbish dump, and they were down in this rubbish dump, a big hole in the ground. And so yeah, that was quite interesting. They were like giant, big snakes too. They're giant, looked like vacuum cleaner tubes all tied together, knots. Yeah, it's quite amazing. And then yeah, so if you want some more horror stories, I've got a workmate of mine was I asked him, "Oh, can you go and spray out the back?" So he's out there spraying with weed spray, and he comes back and he's like white and pale, shaking, and I go, "What's happened?" He goes, "Oh, I just come across a snake." this ran across the ground, and the snake was trying to follow it. I got in between them, and it reared up on me. And it was lucky because when they start rearing, and it wanted some food, so it must have been hungry. So that was quite interesting. And then one of the worst ones I've heard was I was working at this nursery, and were these people that used to come through and monitor the frog population. And these frogs, every couple of years they'd come through, and these frog people. And but she was on some property miles away from a road, and that somehow they got out there, and she was like at a dam, and she's looking down at this tadpole, and this snake has come up from under the water surface, come straight up and got her in the eye, and she's miles away from anywhere. I think it was a helicopter job to get her out. So you just don't know. And I've come across a snake at another place I worked at, where it was just in a culvert. It was a black snake, and then they're pretty docile, black snakes. They don't want it to cause you too much harm. Actually, most snakes are like that. They just want to get away from you. They're terrified of you, like we're terrified of them. Except if you get around the wrong time of year, they get a bit narky. So and someone I know that he was in working boots, and the snake latched onto his working boots, and he still had the fangs in there. Yeah, or a fang. Yeah, sometimes they dislodge, but they don't necessarily inject all the venom. Sometimes it just can give you a bite. And my wife's family, they used to have goats, and I think they lost two goats with snake bites, and I think they lost a dog as well. And you can get anti-venom if you know what type of snake it is, but sometimes it just gets too expensive working out what sort of snake it is if you don't see it. So anyway, there's some horror stories, but the good news is most snakes will want to get away from you. If you make a bit of sound, noise, vibrate the earth somehow, if you've got a machine in your hand, they just want to get the hell out of there. If you've got a whippersnipper or a mower. I've heard of a place I worked, ride-on mowers coming through too fast, and they just cut up a snake and it goes in the catcher. It's not terribly flash. These snakes want to survive and live too, and apparently if you get the snake catcher and they can't, they take it away, but that snake always wants to come back to where it was. Sometimes it'll be emaciated, and sometimes die soon after, because they like where they are. So even though we don't like to be in close proximity. So and people have these little doodacky things where they're solar powered usually, and they're on a spike, and they're making a horrible little high-pitched noise, and it's like, it's the worst noise ever. I'd rather have the snakes there. I don't know how effective they are either. Some plants you can plant might deter snakes, like dogbane. It's a bit frost sensitive though, but such pungentness to it, the snakes can't smell effectively to catch their prey. So usually you find snakes, lots of them, around waterways, because where there's water, there's frogs, there's mice, there's food. So a lot of the time they're just looking around, and then around rocks where they've got a good place to live, hide in holes and that. Sun, like they'll come out nice day, but in that twilight time too, they can come out and have a feed when things start moving, coming out. So you don't have to be terrified of them. I've been here a long time, and man, I'm lucky if I see one every couple of years. The most common ones are the flat ones on the road. People run them over. But anyway, I'm going to sign off, and watch out for snakes, but don't be overly concerned. I'm a New Zealander, so we don't have that sort of thing over where we are, and people remind you in New Zealand, there's dangerous snakes out there. and you know, trying to get you back to New Zealand, I think. But no, it's funny. But yeah, all the snakes I've met have been friendly ones. Haven't met an aggressive one yet, so touch wood. So some snake varieties, like tiger snakes and that, can be a bit aggressive, especially around mating, egg laying times and that sort of thing. So I'm going to sign off. I'm Eddie, and like and subscribe. Hopefully I haven't terrified you. Australia's quite a safe place to come, apart from the top end where you got other things, crocodiles and box jellyfish. But down in Victoria, it's not too bad. Alrighty, I'm signing off. See ya.